Kaya in one of the more recent sets. What the hell is the name of that set? I'm aware I just made the weirdest face known to mankind.
So crazy looking. I think I've seen Donkey Kong make that face. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Summongreaterpod podcast, the show with hot men and even hotter homebrew.
And just an entire hot Midwest at this point,
Dude,
man.
we're actually really suffering.
We're boiling.
So today, the temperature was 99 degrees. The heat index, wet bulb temperature, was 114 in central Illinois.
Fun fact for you guys, did you know the human body ceases being able to fully regulate temperature at 104?
Is that true?
I'm pretty sure. That's
I don't
something
know.
that my far more medically informed wife told me, so I trust her word.
Yeah, either that or we're going to get another clip like the giant one from a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, speaking of that, thank you guys so much for interacting with all of the shorts across the varying social media pages. It has been really, really fun to hear from all of you guys. It's really cool that we've started to get some traction on some of those videos. So
yeah. So the one about giants specifically popped off really hard like a day or two after it was uploaded.
yeah.
Just because like I said stuff without getting the physics of it.
Yeah. You made all the physics nerds angry.
I made a lot of physics nerds angry, but I also made a lot of self-proclaimed physics nerds angry.
Yes.
Which resulted in many people just being generally frustrated that I didn't get the subject material, but some of them not understanding how I didn't get it and being wrong themselves.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. A lot of just like, you don't understand because this. And it's like, well, I don't think you understand either because what you said was a little off too.
Yeah. Which like I talked to a friend of mine who is a physics teacher.
Oh.
And he was like, he was ready to throw down with me at first. When I uploaded that clip,
he's
like,
you got it wrong.
He's like, you're wrong, but also so are 50% of your comments. And then he started arguing with people in our comment section, which was so funny.
That was really funny.
Oh my God.
I didn't realize that was him. I was just like, oh wow, this guy's got a lot of opinions. That's cool. But yeah, no, that hasn't been the only clip, obviously, that's been getting attention. You guys have really come through even just in the first month or so of us doing this, and lots of attention, lots of comments. It's been awesome. And
it's pretty cool.
Like we said, we love hearing from you, so the more the merrier.
Oh yeah, dude.
One of the things that was brought to our attention not too long ago was someone brought up the concept of multi-classing in D&D and how it can be like crazy overpowered, and it can really, well, I can't remember exactly what they said.
This is my buddy Gavin that asked me to talk about this. His issue with multi-classing is basically like there are some classes that it's just way more worth it to multi-class in than others. I bet what we could do at some point is make like a whole tier list on what classes are best to use as like a secondary for a multi-class build.
Yeah.
Cause like, you know, the ones he pointed out are, what did he say? Barbarian and monk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He didn't say
really
monk. He said barbarian, but yeah.
Well, yeah, really low level unarmored defense, one of the strongest abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to use the barbarian rage. So like I thought of this when you first told me that he had mentioned that. Can you imagine a wizard barbarian multi-class?
No. Actually, I saw a TikTok about that.
Did you really?
Yeah, just yesterday, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Because like, if you
The
give
muscle wizard.
yeah, yeah, but like you don't even have to take more than like one level.
Mm-hmm.
You just take one level barbarian, and there you go. You have unarmored defense.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, your wizard's armor class goes from being like 12 to like, if you have decent dexterity and you spec into Constitution a little bit, your armor class can go up to like 17.
Yeah, but also, like, why not 2 for rage?
Well, specifically for spellcasters, because you can't cast or concentrate on spells
That's true,
while you're
yeah.
raging. But it's a great back pocket thing to have if you run out of spell slots.
It is so good. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, that draws into stark contrast. Barbarian is an amazing class to multiclass into. No one's going to multiclass into Ranger. No one's going to multiclass into Artificer.
No. Do you think that classes like that should be buffed at lower levels? Like, just to have something?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think...
Because it's kind of lopsided the way multiclassing is. Because you only ever see a few classes used as the secondary.
Exactly. Because what it really boils down to is, what do you get at level 1 and 2? If you have a class that gets a decent amount of abilities at level 1 and 2, they're going to be the multi-class classes. Mm-hmm. Everything else, like... Yeah, again, like I said, like Ranger, obviously, people have issues with the Ranger class in general. So I'll just leave that one out and say... Mm-hmm. Currently, no one really likes it. But Artificer was the only one I brought up. That class can be a very, very strong class.
Totally.
But not until it gets like level 6 or 7.
Yeah. What would you give it?
What do you mean? What do you give it?
To make it a better class for multiclassing.
Ooh, that's a good question. I might have to come back to that one because I want to do some serious thinking.
Okay.
That's the thing. I want to be able to just like come in here and pop off with like, oh yeah, I would give this class this low level ability and this class that low level ability. But the problem is balancing.
Yeah.
Like it's really hard to just say what's a good level 1 ability for a wizard. Mm-hmm. When barbarians and monks and fighters have pretty good level 1 abilities, but they don't scale as drastically at high levels. So it really boils down to, yeah, like I said, balancing and figuring out like some of these classes just go absolutely nuclear at like level 13, 14, 15 and above. And barbarians are good. They start off really strong.
Yeah.
And they scale far more evenly than something like a wizard or a sorcerer would. So
that's true.
One thing that I thought about that I think would be kind of fun, I don't think it would necessarily solve the problem at all. I think, in fact, it would probably make it worse. Uh-huh. But I thought about how fun it would be to have the experience requirement for leveling up be lower, like for the multi-classing class. So like if you're a level 6 cleric and you have 2 levels in fighter, if you get to the experience level of being able to theoretically go from level 2 to level 3 in fighter, you would have the option to do that or bank it and keep going for level 7 cleric.
I'm not sure I get that.
It requires on the experience points system, not milestone. So basically, like if it takes...
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So if it would take like 4,000 points to get from level 2 to level 3.
Yeah.
And then it takes like 16,000 points to get from level 6 to level 7. If you hit 4,000, you have the option of saying, I'm going to take the lower level, or I'm going to wait and I'm going to take the higher level.
Yeah.
Very much does not solve that problem.
No, it doesn't. And like, I was slow to get that because like we never use We never use numbers for experience points, and also the heat is really getting to me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I know. Yeah, we do exclusively milestone leveling. So
Yeah.
it would just be a matter of like you talk to your DM and they'd be like, okay, you can get like much sooner than everyone else. Like maybe in like 2 sessions where they would need to wait 5 or 6.
I don't know if I've even talked to anyone that does point based.
I think that's kind of another victim of the whole. It used to be this type of game, and now this is what it has evolved.
I was
into.
gonna tie it into that actually. Yeah.
Oh, you know who does use it though?
Who?
Critical Role.
Do they?
Yeah. They do track experience points on Critical Role.
I didn't know enough to know.
Well, because they don't really talk about it.
They never talk about it.
No.
Huh.
But I do remember because there was one episode of the Mighty 9 campaign, I think, where they had the overlays up for the stream, and I was watching, and one of the characters was a level behind. I was like, what? Like, that's so weird.
That's interesting.
But then they immediately leveled up after that session because they were only like 5 points off.
Huh. That's really wild that they keep so quiet about it.
Yeah, especially when they're like, I shouldn't say staggering, but like when they're tracking individual experience points.
It probably makes the show more watchable.
I think it's a really cool thing for the people at home because the Critical Role wiki is like, they are on it, man. I'm fairly certain, I haven't really dug into it, but I'm fairly certain that they have fairly accurately tracked the experience gain for most of the campaigns, which is just...
That's amazing.
It's really cool.
I guess you could do that kind of easily, you know?
Well, for the people who know the experience point system very well, yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, we have easy access to the amount of experience that every monster gives.
Yeah.
You know?
The only question would be if there's like bonus experience granted for anything.
Sure.
Because there's no real way to track that. But if they're going solely off of monsters, then yeah, we would be able to watch all the episodes and go, this is exactly how many experience points they have. Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think another thing that, spinning back to multi-classing, another thing that's always kind of frustrated me with multi-classing is doubling up on a spellcasting class. Okay. Like, if you go, one of the most popular builds around the internet right now is the Sorcerer Warlock build. Okay. Because, internet, forgive me, I don't remember exactly how the interaction works. But basically, Warlocks are able to recover spell slots on a short rest. Sorcerers can convert spell slots into sorcery points.
Well, gee. Uh-oh.
So given enough time, I think that's exactly how it works. Given enough time, as long as they never take a full long rest, if they have a way to remove exhaustion, like a greater restoration, whatever, they will theoretically have an infinite number of spell slots and sorcery points.
Oh no.
Yeah. Just from taking long rests.
Oh no, dude.
And the other reason why it's so good is because warlocks and sorcerers use the same casting modifier.
Oh my god.
They're both charisma casters.
That's very silly.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that has like frustrated me because I had this idea a long time ago for a character that I had a really fun backstory for. It was a character that found out they had a magical ancestry. So a sorcerer. Mm-hmm. They got their magical blood from someone, somewhere. And then they went to a wizard school to learn how to more effectively use it. So they would be a multi-class between sorcerer and wizard, which I thought would be really fun. But sorcerer and wizard use different spellcasting modifiers, So you would have to split your focus between charisma and intelligence.
You would.
And that's not the end of the world. It would be cool to have a charisma and intelligence character. But then that means you're probably going to have a much lower dexterity, means you're going to have a lower armor class, or you're going to have a much lower constitution and much lower maximum hit points. It happens. It's fine. You can work around it. But it's always bummed me out that multi-classing into a different spellcaster class, you have to switch what ability you use for casting those spells.
That just seems like something that should be accounted for in the rules.
Yeah. I think that's something that if I were to, we talked about before, having a system that would rival Dungeons and Dragons, how it would need to stay kind of on the same path, but rethink a lot of things in like some pretty major ways. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things that I would say would probably make for a good rival system. If you have an interchangeable stat that you can use for spellcasting, like if you can choose this type of spellcaster can use either this or that stat.
I think it could be a little simpler than that even. And you could just say like your spellcasting stat is the one from the class that you have more levels in.
I could see how that might be confusing too, and that might be complicated too, though, because if you're leveling like and trying to keep like an even level between sorcerer, wizard, whatever, what happens if you have a sorcerer wizard that's level 10, level 10?
You pick.
Yeah,
because I think that picking for every class, no matter what, is a little bit loose. Because what classes are is from a role play perspective is an archetype.
Yeah.
And you know, if we're not getting into like subclasses, then once you start saying any of these classes can use any of these casting classes can use any spellcasting modifier, we're starting to drift away from that thesis a little bit.
Well, I don't think they should be able to use any spellcasting modifier. I think that there should be a choice of 2 specific stats per spellcasting class. Like sorcerer, I would say you can choose between constitution or charisma.
Constitution.
There's one for you, internet.
I see.
I am mad that sorcerer is not a constitution caster.
That would be really funny.
That's actually it's one of the homebrews that I want to implement into one of my own campaigns sometime.
Like a subclass? Or no, just a thing that sorcerers can do.
Completely change the sorcerer class so that it is a constitution based casting class. Because I don't think charisma makes the most sense for them. I think you could argue for charisma.
Yeah.
But you're talking about your bloodline. You are using your bloodline. Sorcery points come from your connection to the arcana within you. So if you're casting based on your constitution, it makes sense because it's how strong you are. And also, how badass would it be to have a high hit point spellcaster? It's still not going to be as high hit points because the hit dice are going to be lower.
Yeah.
But I just think it would make more sense to have sorcerers primarily be constitution casters.
Okay. I think that's pretty compelling.
Yeah.
I would love to see you try that at some point.
I know. Well, I almost did it in the campaign that we just started recently that I'm running.
Oh yeah.
But no one chose a sorcerer.
Yeah. I think even like if for some reason we end up throwing a 4th campaign onto the 3 that we're playing.
Oh my gosh, I know.
I think if you're a player in it, you should pitch it to the DM.
That would be
and
fun.
ask if you can play this homebrew that you're working on.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
I might do that.
Yeah.
I might. But yeah, going back to the whole multi-classing, pick from one of 2 spellcasting abilities. Wizard, I think intelligence or wisdom for wizard would be kind of cool. Cleric, wisdom, or charisma. Like, not all spellcasting classes are going to overlap in the same way, but it would be cool to have certain ones that like they overlap fairly well. Like, even if you were to say wizard was intelligence or charisma instead of intelligence or wisdom, if you say your wizard can be intelligence or charisma, and then you choose charisma for your wizard, then you could go to sorcerer and say your modifier could be constitution or charisma, and you choose charisma for that. Then you have the same modifier for wizard and sorcerer.
Yeah, all right.
I think it's really similar to the way that you can build fighters and other classes like that. Fighters, you can go strength based or dexterity based. I just think it makes a lot of sense to have options.
I like that. That's a lot to chew on.
It really is. That might need to be its own separate video.
I think so, and I think it could be a good one. I think you could expand it quite a bit too. It's like, well, I want a con barbarian subclass.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Or
oh
paladin.
My gosh. That would be sick. A constitution barbarian subclass. I'm imagining, you said that and I immediately started imagining like as like part of their rage, like a subclass bonus to their rage, when they take half damage for something, the other half that like was not mitigated, an opponent would like also take that much damage if they're close enough to them, to where it's like they're throwing themselves into combat, taking damage, but also dealing the same amount just by being that aggressive. Because I'm like, if you're going to base your barbarian on its constitution, let them abuse their hit point bar and just use that to damage people.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, obviously that would need to be tweaked. But yeah, I would love to do a video on options for primary stats, because another thing that has always kind of pissed me off about multi-classing in spellcasters, your spell slots don't stack.
Oh, I guess not.
You have 2 separate tables of spell slots for your spellcaster.
That sucks so bad.
Yeah, it's awful.
I'm really frustrated with that.
Because like you could wind up with like 9 first level spell slots, and then your spellcasting still only goes up to like level 5. You could be a 20th level character and just not have high level spells.
Yeah.
One thing that's popped into my head to quote unquote fix that one, I've toyed with the idea of using spell points instead of spell slots.
What do you mean?
Like a mana bar.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah. And I don't think it would be hard to do at all. Because all you do, a first level spell slot, 1 point. Second level spell slot, 2 points.
Oh.
And then as you would gain spell slots, however many spell slots you have, you add up. Like if you have 3 first level spell slots and 1 second level spell slot, that's 3, 4, 5 points. You have 5 spell points. So if you want to cast a bunch of first level spells, you can. But you can also save it up, and you can do far less lower level spell slots, and you can cast like 1 extra of your highest level kind of a thing if you save up your points correctly.
That's a hard adjustment for a lot of people to make, but it actually opens the floor to some interesting concepts. Like temporary mana.
Yes.
Because you can't just implement temporary spell slots.
No.
Like you gotta pick a number. You know?
And that also opens up a cool thing. I love that you brought up temporary mana with sorcerers. As you have like a higher level in the sorcerer class, your sorcery points that you would normally be able to like spend a sorcery point to give yourself a spell slot, maybe they would give you points equal to your proficiency modifier. So like at a lower level sorcerer, you spend a sorcery point to give yourself 2 more points. But once you get to higher levels, that could go up to 6 more points.
I think that's maybe even a bit weaker than it would normally be.
Well, because normally you would need to spend a certain amount of sorcery points to get 1 spell slot.
Right. Okay. I get you. I am playing my first sorcerer in one of our campaigns, so I'm learning.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense then, I think.
I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the topic of starting new campaigns and playing new characters and things, I actually did get a chance to test out one of my homebrew crafting theory
finally
things that I put together. Yeah, we played one of my campaigns the other night, and it was our 3rd session?
It was our
4th session.
It was our 4th session.
4th session. Yeah. We finally got to combat, and I got to test out something that I had kind of thrown together rather hastily, but managed to make some sense out of.
Yeah, I thought it. I mean, you could have told me you came up with that a month ago, you know?
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Always good to hear from a DM perspective that your players thought you were prepared.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's something that I initiated at the beginning of combat called the anticipation round. Mm-hmm. So it's a little complicated, bear with me, but it kind of works the exact opposite way as a surprise round. You get to study your opponents and kind of prepare a little bit for the combat that's coming. So each person, you would roll initiative as normal, and that determines how you move in combat and in the anticipation round. Mm-hmm. In initiative order, each player gets to make an insight check against a specific enemy's deception check. If you're successful, you can then also prepare a counter plan for their attack. So the insight check is the first thing that you can do of 3 things on the anticipation round turn. So if you are successful on the insight check, you can attempt to counter plan, which would then be a contested attack roll between you and that enemy that you incited. So it would be whatever attack is your highest, whether that's a rapier or a spell casting attack, whichever 2-hit modifier is highest, you use that. Roll your d20, and then the loser of that check, that contested check, has disadvantage against the winner in the first round of combat. But if you failed your insight check, or if you just choose not to do the contested attack thing, you can instead do a general defense and just give yourself a +1 to your armor class in the first round of combat. And then the third and final thing that you get to do on your turn in the anticipation round is you get to activate a bonus action ability. So like a barbarian could rage on the anticipation round. This is before any damage is coming in. So on your first turn in combat, you can go right in and do a bunch of damage and get a bonus action attack as well. Monks can activate like patient defense or something like that. Or you actually utilized it to cast Blade Ward on yourself, which I forgot that was a bonus action, and I went, "Oh, sick!"
for that druid subclass, it is.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I was gonna say, I was like, I felt like that one was in action, but it was a bonus action for your class, so that was cool.
Yeah, you can. That's an ability that currently my character is able to use twice per long rest.
Oh, okay.
So I actually did cast Blade Ward twice in that session as a bonus action, but I couldn't have done that again. I would have had to use it as an action.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that about that. That's fun.
Yeah, it's super sick.
Yeah. The other reason why the anticipation round was so sick was because this particular combat was 2v2 player versus player.
Yep.
So it was a lot of fun watching you guys incite each other.
Yeah, that was cerebral. I like that session a lot.
Because, yeah, we had our monk and artificer up against the barbarian and the druid, which you were playing the druid,
Mhm.
so.
I don't know if it could have been balanced better. I don't think so.
And that was legitimately, that was purely, I just went, I think these two should go together.
Right, yeah.
I didn't look at the classes at all. And then we started combat and I went, I did okay. I had a moment of being like, crap, did I screw this up?
Yeah. I was worried initially that the artificer was going to get like a really debilitating spell off at first, and then the monk would just clean house.
Yeah.
That did not happen.
No, it was actually really balanced because the monk was doing a lot of damage, but in the anticipation round, our barbarian got to activate their rage, so they stayed up really well. The barbarian missed several attacks, but the ones they did hit dealt lots of damage. So eventually, the monk did go down, and then it was the artificer who managed to stick around a lot longer than I thought.
Yeah, he was dodging a lot.
Yeah, well, even at low levels, because you guys were only level 2 in this. Even at level 2, he had armor and he had the enhanced armor thing. So he had an armor class of 17 at level 2. Which is really cool.
It's so much for level 2.
Yeah. It was kind of hard to get around, but you guys eventually did get him. It was a really, really cool session.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to pivot to something I've just really been wanting to talk about.
Go for it.
So this happened just today. Buddy messaged me and asked, let me get his exact words. He asked, what is an object you would really hate to see animated and fight? So
that is a horrifying question.
Yes. What would you have sent him?
An object that I would hate to see animated. I would hate to see an object animated and then have to fight it.
Yeah.
There are too many objects in the world, okay. Sam. That's a hard one. Are we talking something like specifically in fantasy or like in our world?
Anything.
An excavator.
Okay. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
That's really freaky.
Yeah.
I sent him just a photo of a water tower.
Ooh. Ooh.
Specifically one with the legs.
Yeah, the 4 posters.
He said that
walking water tower.
Oh, that was immediately the image I had in my head. Just this water tower turning into a spider and like spewing water on people. That would be fun to make a monster out of.
It would be.
It would be some kind of construct.
Greater mimic.
No. Oh God. Tainted supply.
I
thought of that, and then when I was writing it down to bring it up, I was like, what about a water tower without the legs? That's just like silo style water tower.
I don't know how that would work.
Have you ever seen a burrowing snagret from Pikmin?
No.
I'm gonna show you the burrowing snagret.
Oh no. I'm gonna hate it, aren't I?
It's kind of just 2 animals put together.
What the fuck?
Bird snake.
Yeah. Oh, I don't like that.
So it.
Oh wait, this is the thing that's in the Smash Bros.
It is in Smash Brothers, yeah.
I hate it.
Now
he ain't got no arms.
That was what I thought of when I thought of this when I thought of this this water tower thing. I've got lighthouses on the brain because it's one of my characters. But I think it would actually, in practice, look more like a giraffe because of how they fling their heads around at each other.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. They really do.
I think it's like look exactly like that.
It's like freaking Beyblade. Like, let her rip.
It's so insane to watch that happen.
Yeah. Man, freaking animals fighting is like, sometimes it's funny, other times it's terrifying. It's like, what are you doing with that?
Because they'll use anything.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, you don't have permission to throw that at us in your campaign.
I would never. I have much worse in store for you. I cannot show you my Pinterest account. It's so bad. Do any of you guys use Pinterest for your D&D campaigns, like to save pictures and things?
I didn't know anyone who did before you.
Yeah, and
I don't know who started doing that between you and your wife.
I think it was Sophia.
Yeah.
I think it was. But she started and then she was like, "Ooh, look at this. I have artwork for my characters." And I went, "Oh, I'm stealing that and doing that forever now. Thank you."
You're like, "Oh, do you?"
No, I have artwork for my characters.
So do I.
But yeah, now it is an integral part of D&D for me, for like planning my sessions, planning my campaigns. Yeah. I have Pinterest boards that have like over 1,500 pins on them, separated into several different sections.
That's insane.
Yeah. Specifically for D&D.
It's so much, man.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's a lot, but it is so helpful. It is so unbelievably cool to be able to be like, ding, 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 ding. Here's 6 different pictures of the people that you just met in this really important area. And also, here's what the background looks like. And also, here's a picture of the big bad evil guy. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just so convenient. I do want to get to a point of being able to do my own character's artwork, but I am a horrible artist. So that's going to take me a long time.
Yeah. Dude, I'm still getting whale comments. That's like 5 different people today that have commented about whales, both on the giant video, just talking about like size differences, and the cancer one.
Oh my gosh. Really?
Yeah.
That's so specific and weird.
So Ben told me about this. Whales don't really ever die of cancer. They do get cancer, but the cancer gets cancer.
What?
They get super tumors.
Band name, call it. What in the hell is a super tumor?
Nope. All I get is super tramp.
Okay, super tumor's open. That's mine now. You can't have it.
So a whale gets a tumor, right? Because it has a lot of cells, and eventually something is going to go wrong with one of those cells. But that tumor has to get really big to cause damage.
I was going to say, because of the mass of the cells, exponentially, percentagely.
Not necessarily the mass of the cells, but like there are more cells.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
That need to go wrong, right? That tumor can't get that big because it has its own cancer cells. So eventually, just through probability, something in those cells goes wrong, and you get like another cancer in the cancer cells.
It's like a freaking Fibonacci sequence of cancer
that just like tear apart and break down the original tumor.
That's insanity.
This is at least my understanding from how Ben explained it to me.
We're fighting cancer with cancer.
Yeah.
There you go, scientists. Study some whales.
What do you mean? There you go, scientists. What is this scientist, an idiot? Why didn't need to study whales.
You want to cure cancer?
Could have cured cancer by now.
Do what the whales did, stupid.
You know, I'm sure that that's probably an avenue of research that exists.
I hope it is. I mean, that sounds cool.
It's like giving the cancer.
Yeah, like how badass is that? Like, I gotta go cut open a whale tumor to get the tumor inside the tumor so we can kill other cancerous tumors.
That's how that would work.
Let me live my fantasy.
Why do you want there to be a grafting?
I don't know. We got to take the cancer-killing cancer cells out of the cancerous tumor so that the cancer-killing cancer cells can kill other cancer.
It's really hard to mess with whales out in the ocean, though.
Yeah, I suppose it didn't go too well the last time we tried doing that.
Because, like, what are you talking about?
Whaling.
Oh, well, there's that. I mean, you can just kill them, but, like, specifically to, you know...
No, we got to do like whale surgery.
Do work on a whale?
Yeah.
Dude.
Get a couple Chinooks out there and get like one of those like the really...
No, don't do that. You'll give it the bends.
I think we're divulging into an entirely different podcast here.
That on a topic that we know like not a lot about, not enough about.
Absolutely.
To be talking with such authority.
This will not be a short, so that the rest of the internet cannot come back.
Thank God.
And tell us how stupid we are again.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so homebrew and all that stuff.
Yeah, man.
We actually did get a fan submission not too long ago.
There's a really big website. Okay.
This really is a big website.
Uh-huh.
It looks really good too.
It looks fantastic. Someone commented on our first short. It was the Xenoblade homebrew thing. The shield art.
Mm-hmm.
And someone commented, I've got a big homebrew website full of stuff from Xenoblade 2. And his name was Itagami. I will put the link to this website in the description.
Yeah, on the website it does say you can call me Boomer in the
he also
about.
Goes by Boomer.
Yeah, and about the creator section.
Let me try to give the briefest rundown possible of the blades in Xenoblade 2. Blades are a race, is the best way to describe them, I suppose. Certainly adapted to a race in this homebrew. But basically they are sentient weapons. They are often humanoid. Sometimes they look like beasts, usually big cats, if so. But mostly humanoid, very human looking often. And they are awakened from a core crystal as a fully formed individual with a personality, but no memories.
Oh, that's...
When they are awakened, when a blade is awakened, they're awakened by another person who is called their driver. And that driver is from that point bonded to this blade, this individual, for the rest of the driver's life. And when the driver eventually passes away, the blade returns to their core crystal and loses all of their memories from their life with this driver.
Oof.
To be awakened again as the same person, but with none of the previous memories, in a really terrible cycle that is explored to a really profound extent in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I like that game a lot. I love all of these games a lot. Just looking through, there's a lot to comment on.
Yeah, he's done a ton of work already.
There's so much, man. I really love this. I would really love to make maybe an analysis video of some sort. In the future, we would need quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
Just to research all this. But is there anything that specifically sticks out to you that you want to talk about here?
I think looking at the mechanics tab, blades as a race was really cool to me. I haven't looked through all of it, but I saw that, and it just is really cool because you also mentioned to me a while ago when we were just talking about Xenoblade, how cool it would be to be able to have like a driver and a blade in a campaign. But you also mentioned the fact that it would be kind of weird too, because let's say you're playing in like a more hardcore campaign, whatever, there's a lot of combat. If the driver does die, whoever is playing their blade, there go your memories.
Yeah.
Someone else is either going to wake you up or you're going to play a different character.
That's very hard to handle as a player.
Yeah.
Like your character's life just getting snuffed out because someone else did, like a Soul Link, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really cool when it from like a story standpoint, because it means you have a vested interest in keeping this person alive. You are dedicated to them, and it is truly devastating, life-shattering to lose this person because your life essentially reboots.
Yep. That's a big part of the narrative exploration of the game.
Yeah. But so I was just impressed by this because they have an entire like racial ability bonuses, like a fully fleshed out like a race page.
It's a lot, man.
For blades, and there's an optional sub race. There's so much on here. And they built a separate class, almost a different class system for the blades. They progress slightly differently. They have a little bit more abilities. But it's really cool because they have like natural armor. Blades do not typically wear human armor, their attire and armor being permanently on their body, only being alterable with specific items. Natural armor class is 16 plus dexterity modifier.
High.
Yeah. Really like it just makes them really, really good warriors. I think he also mentioned, maybe on a different page. No, it was just above here. As a note, most blades will have the fighter class with the champion subclass, which I think is really not a problem.
I think with the range you have with the blade race, like I think that sort of makes sense, because most of the variation is contained within the race here, like much more than any race would normally contribute to the identity of a character. Yeah.
And because they also have, you can roll for the rarity of your blade, which will determine the power of its innate special abilities. Because the abilities of the blade are actually separate from the class and subclass that they are. It's an innate, like a racial ability, and it updates and upgrades as they level up. So you almost get a multi-class right out of the gate.
Right. Yeah, I think that's something I neglected to catch on immediately, is probably what the creator here has in mind is for blades to consistently be NPCs, which makes sense with the awakening process, and I think that's how this would be used most often.
I mean, it's really cool. It's basically an upgraded hireable NPC.
Yeah, it is.
And I think it would also be really, really fun to integrate this into smaller campaigns, like less people. Like if you only have 3 players, if you let one of them awaken a blade, now you've got 4 players, essentially.
Yeah, basically. It's really strong. I don't know if it relies too heavily on blades being a very, very consistent part of the world. I feel like you could run this in a campaign where there aren't many of these types of people. Like maybe there are one of these core crystals in the world.
Right. I was going to say, I don't think it necessitates blades being any kind of known or popular object or item in the world. Like you said, if there's only one in the world, it essentially works as a magic item that summons you, not a familiar, obviously, because they're stronger than a familiar.
In a way, definitely stronger than a familiar. Yeah.
But yeah, just the versatility in this, because Boomer also has sheets for already created NPC versions of the blades. Specifically, he has sheets for a great number of the actual characters from Xenoblade 2.
This makes me so happy to look at. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, it's really awesome. I haven't actually played Xenoblade 2. I've watched you play it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know who most of these people are, but obviously I recognize Mithra and Pyra. Those are the most famous ones. But yeah, so like, there's different weapon types that the blades can use. There's special blades, great axe, mega lance, chroma katana, shield hammer, twin rings, knuckle claws, bit ball, ether cannon. And the creator of this page has at least one character under each of those weapon types already created, and there's a sheet up for them to use as an NPC. Several of the blade types, there's 3 or 4 sheets. This is absolutely a labor of love, I can tell, and they've put so much effort into this.
This person thought of absolutely everything.
This absolutely deserves like a more in-depth, like, let's take a look at the mechanics,
I really think
kind of
so.
a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, great job, Boomer Itagami. I don't know what you go by more often, but I really love what you've made here. As somebody who absolutely loves these games to death, like this is a really good adaptation of the source material. No comments right now beyond just praise, but like
if you want us to tear into it, we'll take a look at it in a more in-depth video. But
I plan to. Yup, good shit.
Yeah. So if there's anyone in our community who wants to do the same thing for, I don't know, Magic the Gathering characters, if you want to make my heart really happy.
Yeah. That's right, dude.
But you're going to have to race me because I'm going to start working on it now. Seeing how well they did with this, I'm really invested.
Yeah.
Because now I'm sitting here and I'm thinking like, oh boy, Planeswalkers.
There you go, dude. Hell yeah. I'm sure we could find something.
Yeah, well, I mean, I made character sheets for some of the Magic Planeswalkers because I used them in one of the mini campaigns.
That's
that we
right.
ran.
Yeah, you used Jace in one of the ones that I was a guest in briefly.
Yeah, Jace was in there, and Ajani and Kaya. For those of you who play Magic the Gathering, you will recognize those names. For those of you who don't, they are Planeswalkers. They are some of the more prominent characters in the Magic the Gathering storyline and lore. But yeah, it was a ton of fun. Obviously, I didn't play them with all of their abilities because that would have been a little broken for a game of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
But
I mean, can you give an example of like something you did adapt directly from the game?
Yeah, Kaya actually is probably the easiest one to talk about. I don't have the sheets pulled up in front of me, but Kaya in one of the more recent sets, what the hell is the name of that set? I'm aware I just made the weirdest face known to mankind.
So crazy looking. I think I've seen Donkey Kong make that face.
Kaldheim. The set's name is Kaldheim.
Kaldheim?
Kaldheim. Yeah,
Okay.
it was a Viking, like Norse-based set. Kaya, really long story short, originally came from a lot of planes over, and she worked for a council of ghosts.
Okay.
In the Kaldheim set, she got her own ability to like become ethereal. And like essentially in Dungeons and Dragons terms, she has the ability to travel through the ethereal plane.
Okay.
So I picked a soul knife rogue for her because she can use psychic energy to make knives, and she was an assassin for this council of ghosts, and she would go in and use her ethereal abilities and get the kill and disappear, walk through walls, and get out. So I said soul knife because you kind of get the same thing. Obviously, there's not as much of the like walking through walls, but I gave her some items that let her see into the ethereal plane, and it was really cool. It was a lot of fun because I got to like look at some of the cards that Kaya is on and go, I think the picture that they have of her there, that artwork looks like it could be this ability from the soul knife kind of thing. It's a lot of fun. It was really cool. Yeah. And then obviously Ajani was a barbarian. Big kitty hit hard.
Simple enough.
Yeah, I think an argument could have been made for paladin or cleric for Ajani, but
Right.
they were NPCs in a story, and I was basically just using them because I wanted interplanar travel.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of fun.
That is a good way to do it.
Yeah, that's it's one of the weirdest, or I shouldn't say weird, one of the funniest tendencies that my wife and I have when we're making D&D campaigns and like new worlds and things. We almost always find a way to somehow, in the nichest way possible, tie it into one of our existing worlds.
Yeah.
Just be like, ooh, but maybe there's a portal that goes from that one to this one because of this and this thing, so that we can pull in our first ever D&D characters that we made because we really love them and they're really fun.
I have to say, from the outset, whenever that kind of idea is introduced, like, the main worry is, am I just doing a nostalgia thing here? And, regardless of whether it started that way, I think I really like the way that those previous characters that you guys have been memorialized in her current campaign that she's running.
Yeah. We kind of have like the MCU of Dungeons and Dragons campaigns going on. Like it's weird, and it's not as connected as the MCU, obviously, but theoretically, looking at every campaign we've made, there is technically a connection, for like a red string connection from the very beginning all the way to like every other campaign that we play.
Yeah. It's
really fun.
It's so cool. Yeah. All right. That is our time for today. Thank you for watching Summon Greater Podcast. As we mentioned earlier, we want to talk about the crazy stuff that you've been dreaming up. And we want to talk about it on the show specifically because holy crap, that was fun.
But we are done talking about whales.
Yeah, dude, honestly, no more whales. I'm done. I'm done hearing about them. And I'm done talking about giants for a minute.
At least until it's time to talk about giants again, which will be in early August when the new source book comes out.
Hell. That's right. Anyway, please send your suggestions to @SummonGreater on Twitter or summongreaterpod@gmail.com. We want to hear it. We want to lambast it publicly live in front of your peers.
And ours.
Tune in next week for when we do exactly that.
See you next week.
Thank you for watching. Goodbye.